My name's Brian Von VA, and I'm here to tell you that sometimes things just aren't fair, and we're gonna complain about that today in What's the Most Unfair Thing a DM Has Ever Done to You? Leave yours down in the comment below. Go ahead, rip on some Dungeon Masters today, folks. I made a character who was just a humble healer who wanted to go out and do good in the world. So she left her wife with her parents and the promise of returning someday. Many sessions later, our DM had us head towards my character's village, and I was actually excited at the thought of my character getting to see her family again and catching them up on her adventures. But as the party came over the hill, the DM said, we saw that the village had been burned to the ground. We all ran in to try to look for survivors, and just to twist the knife, the DM said that we had found my character's wife just on the brink of death, with no chance of healing or reviving her, and the corpses of my character's parents were right nearby as well. I was in tears, about ready to cry in front of my whole gaming group. Everyone else was outraged at the DM for doing this, even yelling at him for being so cruel. Now the DM tried to justify it by saying, "It's to spur your character on to the adventure like Luke Skywalker." This was already after my character had been on several adventures, and even helped defeat the big bad evil guy of previous stories. She didn't need a call to adventure. The worst part was, we later found out it wasn't the villain of that campaign that burned down the village. It was just a random goblin attack that was never brought up again. No justice, no revenge, just the needless slaughter of everything my character held dear. The DM did plenty of other cruel things like that to other players for no real reason, other than to make the player upset. We eventually mutinied against him and booted him from the group. It's sad too, because other than his penchant for needless cruelty, he was a pretty good DM. When one of the other players took over as a DM, they pulled a cosmic retcon on a lot of the ex-DM's cruelty, and our characters had no memory that any of ex-DM's cruelty had ever happened to them unless it was something actually relevant to the story. Now my character's village is in one piece again, with her family alive and waiting for her to come home. And my character's wife is a badass guardian of the village who puts arrows between the eyes of any incoming goblins with hostile intent. Alright, I know I'm late and this probably won't get seen, but I love telling this story. A DM that I already have qualms with playing with, previous drama, but it was a chance to play a high-level character, told us to make level 17 characters. I rolled crap for stats, so I made a Grave Cleric one-shot, all the heals, all the support, exactly what we needed. We were also told that we only get 1+1 weapon or shield, and then a +2 weapon or armor. With some bonus proficiencies in heavy armor and shields, my character had a casual 23 AC. Very nice. Then we all got one randomly rolled magic item, which he put entirely no effort into balancing, considering one player got a Ring of Ice resistance in an adventure that the DM knew had only one individual creature that can deal ice damage. And another got an Oath Bow! Unfair issue number 1, in my opinion. Now, we were traveling through an underground dwarven city, and we go up against unfair encounter after unfair encounter. 5 bard-like bosses, all with legendary actions, attacking 3 times with a modified version of their attack. I guess 8d6 on an int save of 18 with half damage on a success is fine for one attack, but it's kind of annoying when we have to try and survive upwards of 12 of those attacks in a turn. We continue onto a room full of demons. I prepared banishment specifically for this reason, and I had a feeling that demons and high level would go hand in hand. So, better stay prepared. I cast banishment on the general wording of the spell loosely. Target is sent back to their plane of origin or sent to a temporary demi-plane for a minute. Everyone in the party was hyped. Fuck yeah, let's go! As the DM just looks flatly at me with no roll, no explanation, It doesn't work on him. Oh, excuse you? The spell literally made exactly for this purpose, just, it doesn't work. He goes, well, you can cast it on one of the little guys. So you're telling me that instead of using a 4th level spell slot, of which I have 2 left, mind you, to stop the guy who just dropped a double cast of Cone of Fire, respect damage Cone of Cold, so 16d8 damage on the first turn, I'm gonna stop someone who attacks twice with d4 plus 5. Unfairness number 2. Now, for the actual part that really irks me. We made it to the final encounter, and we successfully snuck up on the ancient red dragon. We sit there planning for a good 20 minutes or so, trying to figure out how to deal with it, while being spent on most resources, sitting at about 3/4 of our HP, and not having any magic items that a high-level party would have to deal with an ancient red dragon. Easy! If you're a freaking rocket surgeon! Well, we decided on using a mixture of the Oath Bow, the Assassin Rogue's Assassinate, several weapon enchantment spells focused on by me and the wizard separately. Then, to top it all off, my path to the Grave Channel Divinity to double the damage. With all of this taken into account, we prayed to make this a quick fight. After that first shot connected, we started totaling up the damage. We surprised the dragon, so the rogue got the automatic crit. We were cheering, woo, super excited and laughing when we finally realized we broke our table's damage record, 396 damage on a single hit, baby. Here's what the DM responded with, though. Well, I'm giving this thing max HP. All the resources, all the planning, just boom! Gone. The DM just openly told us that no matter what we do for prep, our attempts to deal with the problems he throws at us just don't matter. We then go for 7 rounds on this damn dragon, dealing over 1,000 damage in total. A party with an assassin rogue, a wizard, and a monk supported by a grave cleric has pretty good survivability and damage output. After that, I vowed to not be a player at his table again. 12 attacks with 8d6 psychic damage? Oh, sure. Banishment not working on a demon general? Oh, you're pushing your luck. Almost 400 damage trying to deal with the giant red problem elephant in the room! Well, I guess he gets max HP now. Nope, I'm out. I'm done. I don't care anymore. It's unfair to all of us, and in my opinion, very disrespectful to all of us, too. I have a tendency to misremember information. In a campaign plagued by distrust among the PCs, to the extent that the DM actually complaining how game-breaking this was, my character was asked a question by another character. Now, I tried to answer truthfully, but had misremembered the info again. Another player who did remember, you do realize that it's not true, right? I genuinely thought it was. DM, I didn't mean to lie, but... Roll deception. Well, obviously I failed the roll, and the trust issues the DM had such a hard time with increased. This was one of my first campaigns ever, so I didn't have too much experience under my belt. My party got involved in some roleplay that I didn't particularly care about down at the city docks, so I narrated that my character went to the corner of the street to wait for them, maybe about 100 feet away from them. It's very important to note that I specifically said the corner of the street, not that I was going past it, because my DM narrated me walking around the corner and being spotted by some people who were beating on the door of the place we were aiming to get to. He then metagamed that they knew my intentions of getting to this house despite us being in a busy city with every real possibility that I was just walking past. I'm walking here! This group of guys went to gang up on me, and I tried to run away only to be grappled into the water by a merfolk with a harpoon! I was so thoroughly pulverized by the time my party made it to the scene that they had no chance of saving me, and my character died. And this was all because I had no interest in 1. counted one particular roleplay encounter and decided to remove myself from it. My very first pen and paper game. Only it was the other players who didn't give two shits! I went to female half-elf conjurer and a spelljammer campaign, not knowing that the rest of the crew was already higher leveled, with the group leader being a vampire. Anyway, my character was supposed to meet up with the crew at the local tavern, but was jumped by a group of bandits. I tried my hardest to ward them off, but got captured and held at knife point. The other players didn't know who I was, even when I pleaded with the group's leader, the vampire, and called him Master. Rather than deal with the bandits, they shrugged and waited for my character's throat to be slashed before doing anything. I was so crushed by the experience that I almost ripped my character sheet to pieces. I was playing a druid, Circle of Grasslands, so my wild shape wasn't particularly powerful, but he did give me a magical staff. Well, here's the issue. We were fighting enemies that were completely immune to magic. They absorbed it from the area around them. So, rest in peace to me and our bard. But we were in a forest which was causing fog of war. I asked if I could use wild shape in the class feature I literally just unlocked to weave through the trees, functioning as walls so I could scout and kind of be useful that way. Nope. The trees were magical. Completely against the lore, specifically because he didn't want someone going through walls. I climbed on top of the half-giant in our party and said, if someone takes damage, I use healing word on them. That's about all I could do. Found out a monster was weak to thunder damage by using my elemental rage, playing an elemental barbarian which can switch to fire, lightning, or ice damage. So what's the DM do? Just straight up makes the monster immune to thunder damage after I found out. Then when it gets low, DM said it was bloodied, I get ready to use my 14th level ability to do 2d6 thunder damage after a con save, and if they fail, they are stunned. Well, DM decided that it was now immune to thunder damage, and that using any attacks that deal lightning or thunder damage now heals the monster after I took my turn dealing over 150 lightning thunder damage. Guess what? We ended up getting TPK'd. The most unfair thing a DM ever did to me was insta-kill my full health sorcerer outside of combat simply because I was role-playing. Here's some context, by the way. We were playing a Skyrim campaign in 5th edition, taking place years before the game itself took place. Our characters were basically rounded up by a god, which god I do not remember, to fulfill a quest to save the world and everything. None of our characters were prepared for just how deadly the quest would be, and my Argonian sorcerer character was a naturally pessimistic person, so he was threatening to just up and leave because of some plot development. Now, I wasn't actually going to leave, as I was expecting the other party members to talk him out of just walking away. Then, the DM just has the god that contracted us to begin with literally part from the clouds above us, slicing my character in half without even giving me a single warning or dice roll to avoid it. Without a word! I left the call and never came back. I like to imagine the other characters were angry as I was and abandoned the campaign as well. I'm sure they did. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell, and let us know down in the comments below. What's the most unfair thing a dungeon master has ever done to you? We want to know, and I promise that I'll read it with as much rage and fury as I can, just to make you feel a little bit better. Love y'all, see you next time, bye for now.